So just to start with, I'll just set up a context that what we will be going through, and then we can start the session. So initially we will introduce the session, and post that there will be some time we will spend to understand how my career and Divya's career trajectory looks like, and what are we aspiring in future, so that you understand that what kind of different roles and different organizations through our experiences are available in the sector today in today's time. And then we will open the floor for question and answer. So we will try to keep it as simple as possible, so that you will have a better sense in terms of opportunities existing in India apart from what you have already known. So we will try to open new doors, new career opportunities, new areas of your involvement coming from an experience of a volunteer in Pratha, how you can use these opportunities to see that these are also an areas of exploration which you can see. People usually don't have a broad understanding of the sector, how social sector looks like in a new age era, which is quite big as compared to the past. So starting with, I'll just share my experience. My name is Sanjana, and I have been working in development sector for around 10 years. I started my journey in from Gargi College. I studied there, did my bachelor's in science from Gargi College, Delhi University. Post that, I started working because of my own family situation or whatsoever. I started early to earn money, and but when I started, I was in a fitness startup in based out of Delhi, which is called FitPass nowadays. It used to be an application to get access to thousands of gyms in Delhi NCR through one pass. So I joined them as executive for sales and marketing. But at that time, I used to volunteer also with the Times of India project, where we used to teach English for employability for underprivileged students. So when I used to teach them, I used to realize that this is what I like to do, and this is what makes me happy. Though 9 to 5 job is also something which gives me money, but it is not giving me like kind of a satisfaction, or it is not giving me happiness at the end of the day. I'm not waking up in the morning thinking going to the office very proactively. So at that time, I thought that let me explore what can I do to do more such kind of work. So I started exploring a lot of opportunities. So came to know about different fellowships in India, including one which Divya did, including one which I did, and there are multiple others which people can do nowadays. So I did India Fellow Social Leadership Program, where I got placed in Madhya Pradesh for 13 months. And in those 13 months, I worked in a very remote areas of Madhya Pradesh, in Chabua, in Badwani, some of the places where, if all of you know, Narmada Bachao Andolan happened. You can raise hand if you know about Narmada Bachao Andolan. You might have studied in your social science chapters. So that is where I started my journey. I worked with a lot of sarpanches, women sarpanch, who I used to train in a very like fragile age of 21 years. So that's how the journey uh, started. And then I started exploring more opportunities, that what can I do next. And at that time, I got to know about Indian School of Development Management. It was recently started. And why I chose to study there, one was definitely the short term. They offer a curated course for 11 months, and after that they give placements also. So what the kind of money I was earning before ISDM was very minuscule. It was like very less. And my perspective towards sector was also that it will never give me more money. It will not give me enough money to sustain. But ISDM also broaden my perspective. It gives me a very broad idea of what sector looks like, what kind of opportunities are there. So I literally doubled my income, what I was getting before ISDM and after ISDM. And my role also drastically got changed. I was in a very field level work before ISDM, but post that I also realized that my capacity also holds a lot of uh, my personality is more towards external facing roles like fundraising, mobilizing resources, talking to people, building partnerships, building networks. So all these things come into play. I started working as fundraising manager. After that I become a manager in another organization, and after that I become a state lead for a health initiative in Ahmedabad with one of the oldest organization called Seva. And after that I managed a lot of large level projects, and till now I'm doing such kind of projects only. So that is where my experience lies. I have worked in different domains and with a lot of grassroots and national level organizations. Now I'll invite Divya to share her experience and try to simplify as much as possible so that you can connect with us and you can also ask any question which you want to ask us post that. Welcome, Divya.
Thank you so much, Sanjana. Hello, everyone. My name is Divya, and I have been working in the development sector or the social sector from past 5 years. Uh, like what I have listened to Sanjana and how her trajectory had been. Mine was completely different. I don't know what your background is, the participants who have joined us, and but because you all are part of Pratha, so I'm definitely sure that there is some part of you that is completely aligned with serving the society, doing something for the community and the people around you in whatever way possible. I was also one among you in the sense that when I did my bachelor's in arts, history and political science was my main subject, and then I pursued my master's in PABAD. I was not aware what development sector and social sector actually is, because usually the perception around is that you can not make a career out of it. It is something where you have to be completely internally driven. The money is less, and like just to uh, fathom the idea that you can actually help build policies, you can actually help build programs from scratch, and actually create some impact on ground. That is very difficult for even till date for people to understand. And I think organizations and institutions like ISDM, who are academically helping students in understanding what social sector is, how can they navigate their path into this, it's really commendable. And Pratha as an organization itself, it's helping, or I would say trying to contribute its bit in serving the society in some way possible. Coming back to what my journey had been, I started my journey in social sector with Gandhi Fellowship. I was a Gandhi Fellow in one of the aspirational district of the country, where there are approx 112 aspirational district. Niti Aayog has identified these across the country, and there you help the district administration in saturating the most basic necessities available, from education to health, to agriculture, to basic infrastructure and social development. So it comprises of a lot of indicators which are aligned with the sustainable development goals. If you have heard of it, what sustainable development goals are. So that's how I began. I was working with the district administration, and there for the first time I got a hold of how the administration works at the district and in the ground level. And because a lot of times we are very much quick in saying that sarkar kuch nahi karti hai, ye kuch nahi karte hain, wo kuch nahi karte hain. But when you get into the social sector, you realize that it's not just one specific pillar that's not working. It's all of us, be it from the community to the PRIs to the self-help groups to the administration to the political willingness, in saturating the work, or I would say in the development of one specific locality or community. After that, when I had this idea how what are the initiatives that are going on in health, what are the initiatives that are going on in education, I switched to consulting firms, and there was one I worked with for like very brief period of time, which is IPAC. It is a political consulting firm. So again, there is one section of consulting that comes under the social sector. We'll talk about it. How you can build a career in consulting. Then what Sanjana was saying, that she worked on field for a lot of years. She built her expertise there. I myself have worked on field a lot. So how you can navigate all this, I'll come back to that. And then after that, I realized that political consulting is not something that I am very much passionate about. It's not something I was feeling that I'm creating some sort of impact. So I came back to again the rural development and social sector particularly. And then I joined Public Policy in Action Fellowship, where I worked in Bastar region of Chhattisgarh. If you guys would have heard of it, it's one of the highly Naxalism affected district. And I think for the first time me and Sanjana met was in my district only, Bijapur. Sanjana came there for some work project, and that's where we interacted. So working in social sector gives you a lot of opportunities and areas to work on, where you can actually feel internally satisfied if you are somebody who's motivated in that sense. क्योंकि कई बारी क्या होता है, you feel very much burdened that you put a lot of efforts and then something does not the result does not come the way you were expecting. So social working in social sector builds a lot of patience, it builds a lot of empathy, it builds a lot of understanding in you. It makes you more grounded, because when you'll go and work in regions like what Sanjana was even talking, MP mein Jhabua, Barwani, these are aspirational districts, and Bastar region, if you'll go there, you will see you'll consider that you're way more privileged in whatever sense you have, and there are a lot of people who really need your skills, your experiences, your understanding of the world to actually make their life better. So this had been my journey. And Sanjana, shall we go ahead with the just telling them about the kind of opportunities they have?
Yes.
Shall I begin, or you want to go?
You can start, I'll join in.
Okay, cool. So, I made a list of whatever understanding I have. Sanjana has more experience than me. She has seen the world of social sector more than me. But whatever understanding I have, if you want to get into social sector, you can start it with any field. As Sanjana said, she did her, from Gargi College, she did her bachelor's in science, right? And then she transitioned to the social sector. So it's not like you have to do your master's in social work only. You have to be a development studies student only. You can start it with any field, but if you already know that there are people around you who know that what social sector is, then obviously you can start it early on. You can do your bachelor's in social work, you can do your bachelor's in development studies. Education particularly, there are a lot of areas in that sense. Sociology is there. And then you can move forward with your academics if you want to get it. But if you want to get some hands-on experience, there are a lot of fellowships which are available in India. Like I was a Gandhi fellow, and the basic eligibility criteria to get into that fellowship is that you have to be a graduate. So, and there are many other fellowships like that. There is Teach for India. If you specifically want to go into the education domain and you think that education is one area where you want to create some impact, Teach for India is there. Then there is, Ashoka University provides some Young India fellowship. And these fellowships gives you some kind of stipend as well. I'm not aware about Young India Fellowship, but Teach for India, Gandhi Fellowship, and there are some fellowship. I think there is Eklavya Institute. It also gives Seva ki bhi koi fellowship hai, which I'm aware of. So these gives you some sort of stipend to help you, manage your expenses, and along the way also learn, get some hands-on experience, and see the world of social sector. So that's how you can begin. And then after working for like 2-3 years, you realize what the sectors are there for. So like if you want to really work in the grassroots level, then you can go for roles like there are organizations like Pradhan, TRI, even Piramal, who works on ground. There you can look for roles like project officers, project management. Then there is policy and governance, which I'm a part of. That I have worked on at the ground level, but in the policy and governance domain specifically, that I was helping the administration in policy planning, implementation. I was part of a lot of projects that were initiated in the district. I used to consult and assist the bureaucrats there. Then there is a specific domain. If I talk about, then there is gender. You can work if you want to. If you're very much passionate about gender, gender is there. Equity is there. There are right-based work where you can just be an advocate for human rights, for gender rights, for maybe child rights. So a lot of organizations are there. Then youth empowerment is one area. Pratha is one organization which is specifically focused on youth empowerment. Apart from, we have other verticals. We focus on social volunteerism as well. Like you all are part of Pratha. That means you all are social volunteers in that sense. Willingly you guys want to be here with us. You are connected with us. You want to just give something back to the society. Then then there is one very much booming area, which is climate and sustainability. Okay, and climate sustainability comes in almost all the domains. Be it agriculture, there you talk about climate and sustainability. And if you're somebody, for example, if you're somebody who have done your bachelor's in agriculture or horticulture, you still can come and be a part of social sector and contribute in that sense. Then there is social entrepreneurship and innovation. If you're somebody who feels like I have an idea which any organization in India is not working, or in the world is not working, and maybe working but not to the extent which you see it as, then you can be a social entrepreneur. You can get into social impact thing. And then there is consulting, which again a part of government advisory to NGOs advisory. You can consult NGOs. You can consult social impact startups who are working for profit but working to actually create some impact in the social domain. And then there is, if you are somebody who's very much into academics and all, then there is research, think tanks, Niti Aayog, state planning commission. Look for people who are there for research, and there are a lot of fellowship like LAMP is there is dark fellowship where you can start your career specifically in the research. And think with the think tanks, and these are the fellowships. And other than that, if you want to work with some world organization and international development, it's something you can definitely explore. You can work with UN, World Bank. You can work with UNICEF. These are the organizations that are working in India and abroad, obviously. And then also they have some domain expert. They look for domain experts. You need to have some sort of experience. So my how I have built in my career is having an academic understanding is good, but in social sector it is all it acts like a lab. So until unless you're not a participant there, I don't think you can actually think of or be able to do a lot. Because if you want to grow in this sector, they do look for how many years of experience you have on the ground. And then only the ideal suggestions you have at the senior roles, they are much appreciated. So yeah, this is all from my side. I hope I have been able to give some overview about how this social works like.
Yeah.
Sanjana, over to you if there is anything I have missed and you want to just say.
Definitely. I'll try to give it some structure so that you might able to understand it more in more simplistic way. And after that, we are open to question and answers, because that is most important. Whatever naive questions you have, try to ask anything and everything here. So I'm starting with some of the basic myths our sector have. There are 5 myths. That sector has no money, sector has no growth, sector doesn't need any skilled professionals, it is driven by heart, sector is not structured, it is very unorganized, and last but not the least, it can only be done once a person get retired. So if I will start with the first one, does the sector have money? Yes or no? Yes, it has money. For whom it has money? People who have skills, people also who have passion. So whether the sector has growth or not, definitely sector has growth also. I started with a project associate, now I am manager, I can become senior manager, I can become CEO, and I can also become founder of my own organization. That kind of growth is there in the sector. Whether sector is driven in this sector, only passion is needed, अच्छा दिल चाहिए, बाकी आपको कुछ करना आता हो या नहीं आता हो, it's a biggest myth. Because इस sector में in today's world we need very skilled people, because the kind of situations we deal with, we are not dealing with कि Revlon lipstick shades are becoming different, or women need different kind of shades in lipstick. We are not dealing with such kind of problem. We are dealing with water scarcity, that there are thousands of people who are not getting water on daily basis. Who can solve this problem? A person with only good heart cannot solve this problem. Very skilled person who has good data analytical skills, people who have technical skills, that how to conserve water, and people who have good management skills, who can work with technical experience and also non-technical experience together to get the result from communities. We are working directly with human beings. So these are the kind of problems we are tackling with. Menstrual health, how to create behavior change in women and adolescent girl, also in men and adolescent boys, is what we are dealing with. How to fight with patriarchy is what we are dealing with. So these are the kind of situations we are working in. So the skills are the highest priority. We don't want people only with good heart, but along with that, good skills, good skill sets also required in the sector nowadays. After retirement or before retirement is personal call. It is not dependent on tech sector's persona. If you are the person who I want to get a lot of money and then want to do some good work, it's your choice. And if you are a person who believe that your work can be done as soon as possible and you want to start early, the sector invites you as well in the social entrepreneurship space. And so these are the 5 myths which are definitely need to be bust among youth, because then only we can attract more and more people. Second thing which Divya also touch based are upon type of organizations available in India. So starting with very local, hyper local organizations, the ones you find around you doing plantation drives, doing beach cleaning, doing certain small initiatives, they are very hyper local organizations who work within that particular geography. Then there are organizations who covers a district, geographical district. They work on district level. For example, Shiv Ganga is an organization in Jhabua which works only in Jhabua. So that is again a local organization. Then there are organizations who work on in a different like geography, like Indore region mein there is an organization working, in Bhopal side there is an organization working, if we are talking about Madhya Pradesh. And then there are state level organizations, they cover a state, they work in multiple districts in one state. And then there are national organizations who work in multiple states, like Seva Bharat works in lot of states. Transform Rural India, they work in 4 major states: UP, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh. They are their intensive states where they work. So there are different kind of organization, and then there are international organization which works in different countries. They work in South Asian regions. They work in Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Bangladesh, everywhere, Myanmar, and all those kind of regions. So this is how the level of organization also increases. So when a person works in the sector, they can also take their growth from hyper local organization to international organization based on their experience and based on their interest, and also based on their knowledge. Now the challenge we face in the sector today, while we invite a lot of young people, is the awareness. For example, someone enters in the sector through pratha. So the knowledge Pratha can provide them is definitely limited. They cannot bring everything together for you because their mission and vision is different. They are doing some specific activities. So the person who is new to the sector will get to know the sector through Pratha's lens. They will not be able to see the whole sector through Pratha's lens because their lens is different and other organizations' lenses are different. And similarly for me and Divya, we started our journey from different fellowships. I started from India Fellow, she started from Gandhi Fellow. Our primary introduction to the sector happened through them. So we know what Gandhi Fellows know, and we know what India Fellow know, and we know what their sector, what their network is doing. So India Fellow works with a lot of very grassroots organization, like in Kalahandi, someone is working in Purulia, very remote regions of the country. So I knew most of the organization working at that level when I was in India Fellow. But it was my interest, my curiosity that I wanted to know more. So when I came to ISDM, I got to know further more organization. Then I started working in different organization. My scope of understanding organization again become broader. So the way you have to take any first step, but through that first step, the curiosity is also required that you keep questioning what is next, what is next, what is next. Then only you will be able to upgrade. In corporate world, similarly, we know big shot, big companies, big force, but we don't know thousand small organization. They have a different challenge. In their case, smaller organizations are less recognized than the bigger ones. In our case, we usually get entered into the smaller organizations, but we don't know the bigger ones. And our bigger ones are also quite big. They are also not dependent only on the funding. They are self-sustaining also, some of the organizations. So that is part two. And if you are a person who likes to learn by doing, these experiential learnings, very well curated learnings in the fellowships helps you. But if you are a person who don't like vagueness, because these fellowships also comes with a lot of vagueness. Ki when you are into the village, what will happen next? What will happen next? It's not curated that much. So at that time, you need programs like ISDM or TIS. Depends on your interest. Depends on what you want to become. In our sector, as I said, technical knowledge भी चाहिए और managerial knowledge भी चाहिए. So for technical expertise, if you want to become health expert, if you want to become gender expert, if you want to become education expert, you can go to colleges like TIS, APU, etc., etc. But if you want to become a better manager, and you want to understand organizations holistically, then Indian School of Development Management definitely is a place where you can come and where you can join, because there we will help you provide a broader understanding of sector and organization irrespective of theme you will work in. So you will become that person who can work along with technical expertise and non-technical expertise, and you can see yourselves becoming better manager. So that is what different programs brings to you, depending on your needs, depending on your interest. So I might be talking like it might complicates in your head too much. So now I want to really ask you that whatever we have said or shared so far, Divya and me, both of us, is it clear to all of you? Does it make sense? Are there any questions in this particular section so far? So we can take some questions now. All good. I am seeing so many thumbs ups. Good. So another categorization, which again Divya shared a lot of organization names, can divide it into 4 categories. In the sector, there are organizations who do real work, like they work with people, they work with communities, and they work on different projects. Those organizations are called implementation organizations. So the first set and the biggest set of the sector are implementation organizations. Here you will find people working on ground, people have a lot of project managers, project associates, project etc, etc. And for example, think about it like this, that you are cooking some meal. Now you are cooking chole bhature. Okay. when you are making chole bhature, there is a quality of making chole bhature. It's not like you can cook anything and serve it to people and say that these are the best chole bhature. So making that chole bhature is part of program management. A program manager can make chole bhature. Their team members can cut and chop vegetables. They can purify maida and do all these things. But there will be a quality check person whom we called monitoring and evaluation person. They evaluate your chole bhature after eating and testing that how it is. They can say that there might be less namak or less maida is not good or something something happened. Chole are not of good quality, etc., which you might have to improve later on. So that is also a section which is the biggest section, which is called impact evaluation or monitoring and evaluation. Then there are people who write a concept about how to make this chole bhature to the funders. They are called the fundraising managers or people who do a lot of partnerships and networking. That this is how we are going to make chole bhature and serve thousands of people. So there are different kind of things happening in this particular aspect only. We need a communication person also who can make good reel of chole bhature and say that this is the best chole bhature we are cooking. So we have all these elements in the implementation organization. Then we have CEOs, then we have senior managers, then we have lot of categorization in this. Then there are organizations who give money. These are called funding organizations. 2-3 type of funding organizations, big bilaterals like USAID, UNICEF, those kind of organizations also give money. There are local CSRs, जो छोटा छोटा कंपनी होता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल जिंदल स्टील्स गिविंग मनी टू people in Odisha. That kind of funding is also there. Then there are big fundings coming from like Reliance Foundation, Azim Premji, Wipro, which are the biggest companies in India. So these are the things which also takes part, and it is called CSR funding. So bilateral funding, international funding, CSR funding, government funding. So these are 4 type of funding happens in sector where people can get placed. Another type of organizations are intermediary organizations where people are working to give technical support. For example, there are organizations who give HR support to a lot of organizations. Some people give communication support to a lot of organizations. Then there are consulting, which also Divya touched upon. Political consulting is one. Impact consulting is other. Then there are HR consulting. 1,000 types of consulting is also there. And last but not the least, there are volunteering organizations who open doors to millions of people, like Pratha, like Bhumi, and there are multiple organizations. They are the biggest organization who invites a lot of people just to know what doing something good looks like. And there also there are program managers, fundraisers, and everything. Everywhere you will find these kind of categorization. And Divya, you can add if I complicate it further, you can just say that it's too much or something.
I think we can only understand with the kind of questions and responses we get from the participants. Then only we can understand like how is it going and what sort of things needs to be further touched upon.
Yeah. So I also want to close here because this is the overall gist about the sector. We have a question from Nikhil that how do you balance political interests with public good when analyzing or recommending policy? So that is for you, Divya.
Okay.
And then we can invite more questions.
Okay, let me see the question. The question is, how do you balance political interest with public good when analyzing or recommending policy? Thank you so much for the question, Nikhil. So there is one thing, when we work in the social sector, I think we do not have much say in what kind of political intervention comes in. We cannot do much about it because India is India is run by parliamentary democracy. We have to go with what our political representatives are willing to do. Sometimes that's why when I touched upon the point initially that if you want to come into the sector, that there has to be some sort of internal motivation, because sometimes you would want to do a lot but the result would be very less than you expected because of these factors that that there comes a clash between the public good and the political interference in the work. And then there are a lot of stakeholders, as I told you, from PRIs to bureaucrats to block representatives to district representatives. Like there was one instance, it can go a little long, the answer. There was one instance that I was working in Chhattisgarh. There was one scheme which Congress came up with, which was called RIPA, Rural Industrial Park, and it was to boost local economy. So each RIPA was built for like 2 CR. In one district, there were 4 RIPAs. Each RIPA was built with like 2 CR of money. Congress, lost the elections. BJP came, and now RIPA were entirely closed. So the entire focus, all the meetings from chief secretary to director to commissioner, sabka, all of their focus was not on RIPA. Then the money was gone. The community could not do anything. Then it becomes difficult for the administration and for the people involved in the administration to actually gain community's trust back again. Okay, we ran that, you worked there, but then it didn't have anything. I think it's a little complex. It's not that easy. We cannot really balance it. What we can do is that, because all policies are welfare policies, I have worked in the government advisory, so all policies are welfare policies. What you can do best is that whatever policy is there, how you are, making all the stakeholders have equal say and equal participation in that. It shouldn't be the sole responsibility of the administration to make it a success, because it cannot be. Community has to equally participate. Then how we are making community aware about the schemes and the programs that are there for them, and how we are actually strengthening or building the capacity of our officials to bring them somewhere in between and to actually make any project or program a success. I hope I was able to answer you in that sense, Nikhil. But yeah, very interesting question. Thank you.
We would like if there are more questions, otherwise we will feel that you are not able to understand.
Yeah, I have a question. Okay. First of all, thank you so much, both of you, for introducing us to the social sector. My question is, what's one thing which you wish you had known earlier before entering into the social sector?
One thing we wish to do when we were entering in the sector.
Yes, you wish you had known something very crucial about the social sector before entering into it.
So my answer is very simple, that I, like Divya also said, that I was also not aware that this sector only exists. I had no understanding of what NGOs looks like. I had no, and that is with majority of the people. They come with a very vague understanding and very unstructured understanding. I was not even aware that there are courses available. And nowadays there are more than 700 fellowships happening in India, and there are thousands of leadership courses happening on daily basis where young people can come into play. So the sector is very vast and knowledge is still very unstructured, and that is where a lot of intervention is required, and that is where this kind of webinars are also required, because our sector is still growing. It's not very stable. It's not very what I can say, it's not there like corporates yet, but it is going there. It is going into that direction, that soon we will have good big organizations जिनके नाम आप सबको पता हो, and you might be knowing some of them. For example, a lot of startups came on Shark Tank also. How many of you have seen Shark Tank and saw Menstrupedia? That comes in the first season. In second season, there was another organization called Haq Darshak. They all are part of social sector organizations, and they all are becoming big. And every year, Shark Tank have a lot of people coming from our circle who we also know. So that is how it is also becoming mainstreamed now. But before that, 8 years, 9 years back, it was not there.
I would like to add to what Sanjana just said, and to answer Neha's question. About anything that I would have loved to know before getting into sector is, a lot of times when we are in our college, we really downplay the volunteership opportunities we get. We think they are wasting our time. But I'll tell you, the skills that Sanjana told about, that this is not only about the internal motivation. That can be one factor when you are not getting external motivation to keep going. Then that will keep you, sustain here in this sector. But then the skills that are really needed are very much different than, a lot of technical skills. You can build them with time, but something that should come into your personality from, how to manage stakeholders. Because when you are getting into the sector, as we told you, your stakeholders varies from a community member who is not literate, who cannot read and write, who cannot understand what the policy has to do, to a senior level bureaucrat who is an expert in his domain. So this is the kind of difference you get to see when you work in the sector. So definitely there are skills. If I would have been there, and I have done a lot of volunteership during my college, not knowing that it is for the sector, and I'm so much grateful that it was something that I was internally motivated to do. Be it it comes to just going and giving 1 hour to any community around you. If you belong to some village area, just you can just go and tell people, make them aware about the policies existing. You're doing a lot in that. There are government portals available. So as I told you, there is advocacy, there is right based work, there is something where you're going. You can volunteer in some government school, go and see there what kind of midday meal they are being provided with. A lot of government teachers, they have been recruited in that, like years back. They are not aware about how they should uh, uh, advance their way of teaching or their school processes. Go and do that. So I think, and then the work that you're doing, how you need to document it all. It's very, very important that you are working. Sometimes you social sector is something जहाँ पर ना आप काम करते रह जाते हो, आप भूल जाते हो मैंने काम कितना करा था. So it's very important that you are reflecting that I have given 1 hour there. What impact have I been able to do, and how that work has helped me in becoming a better individual. So that is something, if you want to start with the development sector, everybody should keep in mind कि सब काम करते हैं, मन से बहुत अच्छा लगता है, but try to document it. Whether you are getting good at stakeholder management, whether you are getting good at communication, whether you are getting good at leadership, whether you are getting good at critical thinking, what is there that has helped you? So I think that's something that everybody should be knowing, and these are the skills actually that help you move further in this sector.
100% agreeing to your reflection part. And I think every journey, even fellowships and also ISDM kind of places, makes you reflect as much as possible, and that only gives you more confidence to understand yourself, that what are you looking at, what are your strengths to contribute in the sector in coming years. So that exercise itself is very important. And there are 2-3 simple questions which we keep asking, that how have you done this, how can you do differently, and what can you do when you will do, because there are always chances of improvement. It's not like pehli baar humne kiya and it's the world best outcome which we can get. So there are scope of improvements every time. And we have another question from Ritika. She's asking what are the best ways of building domain expertise to work in UN bodies. So this is very simple. If you are, I'll give you an example of my friend who is a nutritionist at World Health Organization now. So she started her journey with doing nutritionist course. She did masters in health and nutrition. Post that, she worked with an organization which works on nutrition, maternal and child health पे उन्होंने काम किया, with specifically with expertise in nutrition, that what kind of nutrition is required for both maternal mother and child. From that experience, whatever experience she gathered in 1 or 2 years in that organization, she applied for Niti Aayog's young professional job. And from Niti Aayog young professional, she switched to UNICEF in Assam. And post UNICEF, she went to WHO in another country. I forgot the name of the country. It was a difficult name. Timor Leste, I think that was the name of the country where she went from UNICEF only. And when she came back to India, she joined as a nutritionist expert in WHO. So it's just that you have to keep improving what you know in that particular experience also. So that is where you have to decide that आपको इतना अच्छा किसी एक चीज में बन जाना है या फिर आपको बहुत सारी चीजें करना पसंद है. जैसे मेरे जैसे इंसान को आप बोलोगे कि रोज एक ही टॉपिक पे बात करो, इट्स very difficult for me and it is very boring. I am a kind of a multitasking person. I want to do this also and I want to do that also. So that is why my journey is more of managerial journey. I want to become manager. I like talking about everything in the sector. I can understand different things together. I can understand that nutrition में ये problem है, it is also associated with education, it is also associated with livelihood and 100 different things. And I think Divya also comes from this kind of interest of interrelation of different things happening in society. बट किसी किसी को बस एक ही चीज़ पसंद है कि एजुकेशन में बच्चे रीडिंग लर्निंग क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे, एंड देन देयर एंटायर लाइफ गोज इन दैट ओनली, दैट हाउ टू इम्प्रूव पीपल्स लर्निंग कैपेबिलिटीज. So that is your choice, that where you find yourself from a personality standpoint. And one thing which I think that Divya will also agree, that this is the only sector which makes you more closer to the people, because in corporate you might also don't know that who is your municipality person, who is your MP MLA, politics में क्या चल रहा है, ground पे क्या चल रहा है. You are far from those realities. You are in a different land altogether, until or unless you are Vishal kind of a person who is very motivated to know about communities and other aspects of country also. But majority of them are not very keen to learn all these things. While in the sector, you become more empathetic, you become more generally aware. You become more in, like, irrespective of everything, you are just aware human being, contributing to your neighborhood, contributing to your planet very consciously and very meaningfully. So that is something which I strongly feel. Yes, Neha.
So after listening to both of yours experience, I have some questions for both of you. What are the non-negotiable skills in this field, and what abilities have been game changers for you?
Do you want me to go, Sanjana? Okay. See, non-negotiable is one that, I believe in one very simple thing. If there is something you're driven to do, you'll learn everything that comes along the way. So one thing has to be internal drive. I say you'll get bored. If you don't have, I have had friends who left Gandhi Fellowship in 2 months. So if you are going to listen to that person, you'll be like, social sector is, it's just of no use. It's worst. But if you'll see me, I have done 2 fellowships of 2 years each. So internal drive has to be there. It's non-negotiable. Please don't come into this. I also feel that when somebody becomes a teacher, I think there should be an internal drive to become a teacher, because teacher is somebody who can actually, transform lives in that sense, transform society, transform communities. So one is teacher, where I feel an internal drive has to be there. Nahi aapke paas technical abilities, it's okay. You learn it along the way. And then I would say, if you want to come into the social sector, have the internal drive to create the impact, because a lot of times, you'll meet IAS officers of that level, you'll be like, how that person can be an IAS officer? You'll feel frustrated that, they don't have the drive as same as you to do that. So one non-negotiable is that please have that internal motivation to keep you going, even when things are not, aligning with you and supporting you. Second is being confident and have the ability to convey your message properly. If you are going and talking to the community, you cannot talk to the community member the way you are talking to a senior bureaucrat. आपसे community members ना भाग जाएंगे, अरे वो मैडम आती हैं, वो ऐसे बोल के चली जाती है, अगली बार से कोई मीटिंग में नहीं बैठेगा तुम्हारे साथ. So you need to have that understanding of difference, that how you need to convey your message to which stakeholder in which way. There will be times when you will have to go and meet a second standard student in a school, and you'll have to convince him, you'll have to ask him something. So your approach should be entirely different. So which is a part of, communication. Third, I believe, is something called, again, which because if you know how to manage your stakeholders, stakeholder management is that thing. If you know how to manage your stakeholders, you can know how to, manage your communication based on the profile of your stakeholders. And then risk-taking ability has to be there. see, if you do not have the confidence in you कि इसमें अगर social sector is all about that. Sometimes you'll go to a teacher, वो teacher कहेगा अरे हम तो यहाँ पे 30 साल से पढ़ा रहे हैं, आप तो अभी इतने जवान हैं, because I have faced that as a Gandhi fellow. आप हमें क्या सिखाएंगे, स्कूल में कैसे पढ़ाते हैं? So having that risk taking ability in the sense that you have to let your ego and your knowledge down. और कई बार वो अरे सर आप एकदम सही कह रहे हैं, मैं तो बस ये कह रही थी आपको काम आसान कैसे हो सकता है. So when you say this, then they'll sit with you. Arey, they are here to help us. Because every time you cannot go and take government's letter to get your work done. You cannot. You have to do that. So these are the few non-negotiable thing. And then another one which I learned later on in my life is documentation. If you have the documentation, proper documentation of your work, and documentation covers, first of all, the problem that you worked upon, what solution you came up with. If I will tell you, अगर आपको एक पैराग्राफ में ये करना है ना नेहा, आप कर रहे होंगे, बहुत सारे हमारे साथ हैं प्रथा में, आप सब भी कर रहे होंगे. 3-4 चीजें याद रख लो. पहला प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट क्या थी, किस पर काम हो रहा था, एक लाइन में लिख दो. दूसरा काम हुआ क्या, क्या सोचा, सोल्यूशन क्या आया. तीसरा इम्पैक्ट में जो सोचा था वो हुआ कि नहीं हुआ. और इम्पैक्ट में फिर हल्का सा नंबर आता है, 20 बच्चों तक काम करा, 50 बच्चों तक काम करा, या फिर 50 बच्चों के साथ 3 टीचर्स भी थे. अच्छा टीचर्स नहीं थे, स्कूल कितने थे, वो स्कूल एक ब्लॉक में था या पूरे जिले में ही तुमने एक ब्लॉक कर. सो दिस इज हाउ यू डॉक्यूमेंट योर वर्क. तो ये कुछ 4-5 चीजें हैं. इफ यू कैन डू दिस, आई थिंक यू आर गुड टू गो. बाकी यू वांट टू वर्क इन एजुकेशन, फिर आप उसमें काम करोगे, उसमें कुछ स्किल्स बिल्ड करोगे, देन इट्स कंप्लीटली इंटायरली अप टू यू, वेयर डू यू वांट हेड टू.
और विशाल ने हमको टाइम दे दिया है कि खत्म होने वाला है ये वेबिनार.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much both of you for answering this question.
Thank you Neha. I just want to add one thing at the end, that देखो सिंपल सी बात है, that there are immense opportunity in the sector and we are welcoming you with open hand, like आओ join करो, we will help you. If you want to apply for our programs, definitely आप हमसे बात कर सकते हो and we will support you till the end. We will try all best thing happen to you, whether it's fellowship, whether it's course or anything. We'll share our course details and fellowship details with Vishal so that it can get circulated amongst you later on. But इसको ऐसे भी आप देख सकते हो कि ये खुद में एक experience है. You will, the people living in hinterlands will not gonna come to you, but as a part of your life, you can only give something back to them, and it will always be a very immersive program, immersive experience for you, which is life changing. You will never get those kind of opportunities working in corporates. 101%. Even you can go back to corporates after working in social sector. That is also not something which can entirely get stopped. So I just want to stop here, but I'll encourage all of you to look up to these things, these opportunities, connect with us, take our numbers, email IDs from Vishal. We'll share our opportunities with you, but try to see if you can contribute a year or 2 years or let's say 5 years of your life looking at India from a very different lens altogether.